Hi, everybody. This is today's podcast. Last night we had a pretty intense game. It was the Spurs and the Warriors. Was a pretty much lopsided game as far as the Spurs having pretty much the flow of the game. This is like the first time a team has set its mind to actually stop the 3 pointers from the Warriors. There's a lot of criticism about today's defense um, when guarding players like Steph Curry, which have they can pretty much shoot wherever they want, um, as far as half court offense. So pretty much what the criticism was is for defenders to pick a player like Steph Curry from the half court instead of just giving him the space and playing him straight up like any other player. So basically, this game, the Spurs set their mind to take the bread of butter of the Warriors, which of course is the Brothers, both Steph and Clay, which they did successfully. It was pretty much having the Spurs switching on all screens. They have the personnel, uh, even though they were prepared to a scenario, of course, where the biggest switched on, perimeter player like Curry on LaMarcus. So they were 100% committed to take the 3 pointers. So you'd have like there was like a possession where LaMarcus picked up Curry and he didn't even play him like he didn't try to defend, just stood there. He did try to defend, but he was committed to take the 3 pointer. He wasn't going to by his fakes. And what he did is what is get a hand up and by any means don't let him shoot a 3 pointer, which he didn't, and he was successful. Not sure how many possessions there was, but yeah. So take the 3 pointer, make them drive to the lane. Um, Curry had, of course, not a normal game in his standards. He was 1 of 12 from the 3 point line, 4 of 18 from the field, only connected 14 points in this game, had 6 assists, 6 rebounds. He did try to drive to the lane and get some layups, but um, it was pretty tough. I guess the Spurs just was they brought like a playoff they brought a playoff intensity to this game. You have to, in my opinion, to try it. I mean, it's not like they're gonna say, yeah, we'll get to the playoffs and we'll try our game plan there. They brought everything they got to this game, and they were successful, even though they held like Steph and Clay to um, numbers which are not um, by any means numbers they put up every night. They were pretty much Steph was poured for everywhere, and Clay was mixing his game. Clay has more of a mixed game because he's a versatile player. He's a 6'7". Um, he had a better game, but the bottom line, they took the 3 pointers. But even though they took the 3 pointers from their main shooters, it was a close game. Some notable stuff I should mention is Lamarcus Aldridge actually going for the boards, which is something I'm not used to be seeing. Is it's refreshing to see it. That's what he should do. He has the length and he has pretty much everything he needs to. He has all the physical tools to be a great rebounder, and I saw him this game really going after the boards, which is great, and also trying to be aggressive to score. He looked a lot more comfortable um, in the Spurs uniform. than any other game. I don't blame him. I don't expect him to be, from day one comfortable, but he was he was getting to it and was aggressive, and they were getting him the ball inside so he can score under against like 6'7" Draymond Green, which is great. Always great. He had like 26 points, 13 rebounds. Was very effective. I mean, he wasn't 50% from the field goal, but it's not a game like it's not a game like that with defenses like that he could be effective. But I mean by like effective numbers, he was effective by this kind of standards. Kawhi was Kawhi basically. Like I said, I don't think you should judge numbers. You should judge numbers by scenario. I mean, this is like a playoff game, and like Kawhi had is like 5 from 14 from the line, which is of course not regarded as effective. But this game, he was doing his thing. 5 from 14 from the field, but 14 rebounds, 2 blocks. He was getting to him. Boris Dia was great as well. Tony Parker was. It's kind of weird. I always thought about Tony Parker. I thought about the Spurs and him. This whole situation. I thought the point guard spot in the league is very crucial. You need to have a really you have to have a serious point guard in order to compete in this league, because every team nowadays have a crazy point guard, or at least decent. I mean, but yeah, the point guard position today is pretty insane. So I thought the Spurs should part from Tony Parker, or at least show some kind of find somebody to take the spot for him, somebody young, to get some minutes. But this game, he surprised me. I mean, he was playing defense. He was playing defense on Curry. It was gotta give him props for that. That game, he was really surprising. Played great defense, and he had only 6 points, but he played great defense. He was making his shots from the corner. He shot 4 3 pointers, but he made 2 from the corner, the same corner. He was successful. He was playing defense. He made the shots he should have made. He had some great passes. He had 6 assists, of course. But yeah, it was a great game from Tony Parker. Danny Green always playing defense, squatting up. It was a great game. Didn't see much from the bench of the Spurs, but when your starters produce like that, you don't necessarily care about that. You always care about the bench, but still, um, Manu shot better this game than the rest of the season. He played nice. Kevin Martin is a pretty interesting addition. I would suppose the move to get Kevin Martin is to like spark up the second unit coming off the bench, and defense is in question. But still, he had like he logged up like 3 minutes, and we should pay attention to this move. It could be him and David West. Both of them could really spark up the second unit. But it was a pretty much close game. Um, Spurs took away the bottom line, took the bread and butter of the Warriors, and they managed to clutch it in the end, take this game. But in any moment you thought, Curry or Clay Thompson, would go off. Curry like had a crazy shot. Um, like I was like seeing it. I said, if he makes this shot, I'm like, and he actually made it. So it's pretty. Yeah, he's a great shooter, but in this scenario, he just couldn't. He just had like zero space. He had no way he could have shot it. Defenders would not, try to back off. They were giving him the drive. You're not getting any shots off. What you're gonna do is drive, and that's it. Pretty much, that's what him and Clay Thompson. Everyone else can shoot, but not these guys. And they were successful, and the score was 87-79. Pretty nice game. Another great matchup, which I would which I would really like to see in the playoffs is the Cavs and the Heat. Um, Pretty weird game. Would expect to see at least maybe a close game, or Cleveland maybe blow out the Heat, which which is weird also. If you take into consideration the Heat's roster, but actually the Miami Heat, most of the game just blew out Cleveland. Nobody came to play in Cleveland. You saw LeBron James, played out of his mind. I mean, he didn't drop 40, but it was 13 from 20 from the field. Uh, yep, he was scoring. Yeah, not really assisting or rebounding, three assists, three rebounds, but neither the team. Nobody was nobody was rebounding. The leader of the rebounds, the top rebounder of this game from the Cavaliers was Jefferson and Fry. Both had 4 rebounds each, which is weird. Which is really weird to see. That's really weird. Um, but nobody really logged off. Crazy rebounding stats. But anyways, they had 26 rebounds as a team. They got pounded inside, and nobody came to play. Uh, Jefferson had 20 from the bench, but you can, he's not gonna bring it every night, of course. Nobody came to play in the Cavaliers, and the E just they just came to play and they just took this game. Joe Johnson, 18 points, 7 of 11 from the field, made 4 of 6 3 pointers. Pretty nice addition. It's like a veteran team. Now you have another veteran addition. Now that they don't have Chris Bosh, it could be they have a great roster. That's the thing. That's so weird. Why? I think they should have had more success. They have um, a nice winning record, 40-29 on the Eastern Conference. It's nice. I would like to see more of them. I would consider it, by my standards, a bit of a disappointment. I think they could be better with this kind of roster. If Amari, if you can bring a player that would step up in the forward position, and instead of Chris Bosh, and having the addition of Joel Johnson. You got players in every position. You got a good bench. You got scorers of the bench. You got young players off the bench. You got a lot. The Heat got a lot of tools, and seeing them in the Cavs on the playoffs would be great. This game was, of course, lopsided, and yeah, not much to say. Just seeing LeBron James going at everybody, and a kind of interesting rumor that has been surrounding the Cavs. I'm not sure how you know I'm not sure how much they're talking about it, anyways. But there's some kind of talk around maybe the Cavs departing from Kevin Love. I'm not sure when, but just think about the following idea. Um, the thing with the Cavs is they have they have 2 ball handlers. There was gonna be on in Kyrie's hand or LeBron. So their thing is to have players spot up. They don't have the most free flowing offense where you have players moving, but they have some kind of offense, but the thing is, they want their forward position to spot up. They does don't necessarily, I mean, want the player to post up. I mean, maybe they do, but they don't do it anyways. They don't post up the four or the five. They would rather have them spot up. And Kevin Love, pretty much what he does is spot up and pick and fade. That's what he does. He can't defend. Doesn't have the length to defend. Um, he doesn't rebound as much as he did in Minnesota. But he showed in a couple of games this year that he could rebound, but still, it's not consistent as it was in the Minnesota day. Still, the idea is that they want a player to in the fourth position to spot up and shoot, and they have Kevin Love, which do it, but he can do more than that, and they could save up. Um, just just to think about it, they could save up, depart from him, and have a player that can do what they want in Channing Frye. He can shoot as good as Kevin Love, if not better. And in my opinion, he has a better potential to defend than Kevin Love. I think that's for certain. Kevin Love cannot guard. He can try, but he can't. That's okay. That's the problem for the Cavs. With Kevin Love and Kyrie, they can't. They're one dimensional players. They can't defend. It's not a thing of it's not a thing of like motivation and all that stuff. Kyrie can't defend. Kevin Love can't defend. So they pretty much have two holes in the defense with them. What you saw in the last year's finals was like Kyrie, giving like uh every percentage of his being to try to defend, and he brought it to a certain degree, but yeah, he can't defend. No, everybody knows that. So yeah, that's a problem. And departing from Kevin Love and keeping Channing Frye to do what he does is an idea. Think about it. Other than that, let's take a look on the Eastern Conference standings. Chicago's very disappointing. Is again they have a pretty deep roster, very talented roster. They have talented young players, talented veteran players. All in all, players in every position, in my opinion. They have a problem with the two guard, but I think this just rich people's problems. I guess they have a lot of players that could play that position. It's just a matter of I don't know, maybe committing to play a player like Doug McDermott showed. He can put up numbers consistently, and I would like him to play that position. He's 6'8", can shoot, moves without the ball. Yeah, he could be good. He is good, but yeah, Chicago was out of the playoff race not a while ago. Now you got Chicago and Detroit trying to fight for the eighth spot. And as well, Milwaukee, of course, is disappointing, but yep, there's that. And you got Chicago in the eighth spot, Detroit ninth spot, Washington 10th spot. Very disappointing, Washington. Washington doesn't necessarily have all the pieces, but I would like to see them, in the playoff race, with the personnel they have. They got nice personnel, they got nice culture, they play hard. They got, an all-star John Wall, two-way player. Yeah, that's kind of weird, but Detroit and Chicago, I would like to see Chicago step up the burners and get these W's and get into the playoff. That's what I want to see. I would like to see Detroit as well. My perfect scenario as a fan, which is I don't think it's realistic. I wouldn't like to see Charlotte. They have a nice team, but I wouldn't like to see Charlotte in the playoffs. But a realistic maybe scenario for me, maybe Indiana dropping from the seventh position, maybe somehow, and getting out of the playoffs. I don't think they have any business being in the playoffs. I know Paul George, I know of Miles Turner, I know all this stuff. I don't think they should be in the playoffs. I mean, um, I would like to see teams like Chicago and Detroit utilizing their players and stepping it up and be in the playoffs. So yep, I would like to see Indiana. So yeah, Indiana drop and Chicago and Detroit. That's what we have. Cleveland still has the top position, of course. Got Toronto, Atlanta won 5 games. They have a 5 winning streak going. Boston lost 4 games. Lost its four games, and yeah, it's pretty much a very interesting fight going for the A spot. Um, Western Conference. Western Conference is not sure if there's a lot to talk about. Got the good teams, of course, and get the bad teams. And you got San Antonio and the Warriors, which I'm trying to get up. Yep, my bad. Anyways, we got Golden State, of course, San Antonio, Oklahoma. Won its four games. It's on the free spot. You got the Clippers, four spot. Memphis. It's kind of weird to see the Memphis, winning um, with what they're going. I mean, they didn't depart from their identity, but everybody knows they're well. I mean, they maybe not, but there's some kind of notion that they're past their window to do anything, and it's kind of weird to see them in the playoff spot, the fifth. Portland, of course. Yep, big surprise this year with pretty much CJ and Damian, pretty much doing everything there. So they're in this playoff spot. Houston, of course, is weird. Say a lot of I say weird a lot, but Houston is pretty. There's there's not much to say. Last year they were in the Western Western finals of the playoffs, and this year they are barely clinging to a 500 record. Dallas eighth spot, and that's pretty much. You got the usual suspects on the top standings, and some teams I would like to see in the playoffs. I would like to see the Jazz. Jazz have a great roster as well. Like the Heat, like the Bulls. Utah is very underrated. They got a great team. I would like to see them do more than they did this. I mean, I would like to see them in the playoffs as well. Other than that, you got Denver, Sacramento. Sacramento have like two players that they got one player that is an all star. You got another player that played this year like all star, and they lost 42 games, 126. I think it's just a testament to the low quality of organization, in my opinion. It's just a bad organization, and I feel bad for every player that gets drafted to there. I think it's a bad situation to be there. Yeah, pretty much that's it. So that's it for this week's. I hope to bring it up next week And I'll see you guys next week. Yep.